All right, if you're in the Canadian trucking game, you know the number one rule. Cash flow is everything. So today we're diving into a really powerful tool that can keep your business rolling. It's called freight factoring. We're going to break down exactly how it gets cash in your pocket faster so your money moves just as fast as your trucks do. I mean, does this sound familiar? You've busted your hump, you've delivered the load on time, and now what? You wait and wait and wait, right? But here's the thing. Your fuel bills, your payroll, your truck maintenance, none of that stuff waits. That gap, that's where the cash flow crunch really hits hard.
So, what's the fix for this massive problem? You might be surprised just how many companies have landed on the exact same solution. Just look at this number.
Yep, you're seeing that right. Over 3/4 of all carriers. So this isn't some weird niche trick. It's a totally mainstream financial tool that honestly keeps a huge chunk of the trucking industry from grinding to a halt. If you're feeling that cash flow squeeze, believe me, you are not alone. And the solution is way more common than you might think.
Okay, so what is this thing that so many carriers are using? Let's get right into it and define what freight factoring is all about.
Think of it this way. You're basically selling your unpaid invoices, which are an asset you own, to another company for a small fee to get the cash right now. And here's the most important part. I really want you to hear this. It is not a loan. You're not adding debt to your books. It won't show up on your balance sheet that way. You're just cashing in an asset you already earned.
And when you look at the actual numbers, you can see why it's so popular. I mean, getting up to 95% of what you're owed and getting it in your bank account in about 24 hours, all for a fee that's usually around 3%. Come on, when you've got a fuel bill due tomorrow, that kind of speed is an absolute game changer. Okay, that all sounds great, but how does it actually work? Like, what's the day-to-day process? Let's break it down. It's actually way simpler than you might think.
So check this out. First, you do your job, you deliver the load, then you send your invoice and proof of delivery straight to the factoring company. Step 2, boom, they verify everything and wire you most of the money. We're talking up to 97% of the invoice value. Then, and this is the nice part, they deal with collecting the payment from your customer. Once your customer pays them, they send you the last little bit minus their fee, you get paid fast, and they handle the collections. Easy. All right, to make this super clear, let's run through an example with some real numbers. Let's say you just finished a haul and you've got a $5,000 invoice. The problem, it's on 45-day terms. So instead of waiting a month and a half for that money, you send the invoice to your factor. And with a 95% advance, you have $4,750 in your account tomorrow. That's cash you can immediately turn around and use for fuel, for repairs, or to grab that next profitable load without hesitation. Okay, so fast forward 45 days. Your customer pays the full $5,000 to the factoring company. Now the factor takes that $250 they were holding back, that's called the reserve. They subtract their fee, which in this case is $150, and they send you the leftover $100. So let's just think about that. For $150, you got your cash 44 days sooner. That's a pretty good deal. All right, so if you're thinking this might be for you, we've come to what is probably the single most important choice you have to make. And it all comes down to one question. If your customer doesn't pay, who's left holding the bag? And it's pretty simple on the surface. With recourse factoring, that risk is on you. If your customer flakes, you have to pay the factor back. With non-recourse factoring, the factor takes the hit. Now, that sounds like an easy choice, right? Go with non-recourse. But, well, there's always a catch. So here's the deal with recourse. It's actually the most common type, and for good reason. Because you're keeping the risk, you get better terms. The fees are lower, sometimes a whole % lower. The advance rates are often higher, and they're usually more flexible on who you can haul for. The big con, of course, is that if your customer defaults, you're the one who has to buy that invoice back. And this is what you really need to understand about non-recourse. Yeah, it offers great peace of mind, but it costs more, and the factor's going to be way stricter about who you can work with. But here's the giant warning label. That protection is usually only for when a customer goes bankrupt. If they just refuse to pay because of some dispute, like damaged goods or missing paperwork, guess what? That risk, it's all yours again. Okay, you know the types. Now we need to talk about picking a company to work with. And please, listen up, because it's not just about that one big rate they advertise. You really have to watch out for deals that seem a little too good to be true. We've all seen the ads, right? Factoring rates as low as 1%. Well, this is the classic bait and switch. They hook you with that amazing low number, get you to sign a contract, and only then do you find out about all the other little fees that make your real cost way, way higher. And these are some of the usual suspects. You've got fees for every single invoice you send in, fees for the bank transfer to send you your own money, and penalties if you don't give them enough business each month. Some even charge you extra if you use their fuel card. These little things can stack up so fast and just destroy what you thought was a good deal. So, how do you avoid getting burned? It's simple. You have to ask the right questions before you put your name on anything. You gotta be your own detective here. And here's your cheat sheet. Ask them straight up. Are there monthly minimums? What are the penalties if I miss them? Are there fees for using your fuel card? How much does it cost just to process an invoice or send a wire? And then the most important question of all, can I please see a complete schedule of every single fee? A good company will have no problem getting you that. If they get squirrely, that's a huge red flag. So with all that in mind, the good, the bad, and the fine print, let's pull it all together. Let's figure out if factoring is actually the right move for your company. And you've got a lot of choices out there in the Canadian market. They all have their own little specialty, right? You've got companies like FundThrough that might give you 100% advance and don't lock you into a long contract. You have Riviera Finance that focuses on non-recourse. Others, like eCapital, are all about the tech and super fast payments. The big takeaway here is that you've got to shop around. Find the one whose model fits your business, not the other way around. Okay, let's boil this all down to the essentials. Number 1, factoring fixes the waiting to get paid problem by giving you cash now. Number 2, it's not a loan, so you're not adding debt. Number 3, your biggest decision is recourse versus non-recourse. Who's on the hook for the risk? And finally, and I can't say this enough, read the fine print and ask about all the fees. So I'll just leave you with this one thought. Your trucks are out there on the road, they're always moving forward. The real question is your cash flow doing the same? Because in this business, making sure your money keeps up with your machines isn't just a nice to have, it's everything.